A key witness in the Diddy trial has gone missing. This is super concerning because she is crucial for the case against one of the biggest names in music. She was actually going under a pseudonym like 3 other witnesses in the case, but she decided to waive that right and reveal her identity in her testimony. But now she's MIA. The federal prosecutors don't know where she is, her lawyers don't know where she is, and the prosecutors are using her testimony in the opening statement on May 12th. That's not that far away. For now, she's known as Victim 3, and she was subpoenaed, which means that she is required to be there.
Determined to be Christina Coram, KK, who Diddy talks about a lot as his right-hand woman, if you will, and that they were discussing her, and then that led to her being served a drink where then she started to feel woozy, and then Mr. Combs her with an inanimate object, and then actually directed another gentleman to her while he watched and pleasured him.
Turns out that Ollie Carter was sharing all the inside information about what Diddy and his team were doing behind the scenes for many years. She had even been subpoenaed and was supposed to testify in Diddy's trial. But just when the trial began, she disappeared. Nobody, not even her family or lawyers, knows where she is. To make things worse, a voice note that Ollie sent to her close friend was found just one day before the trial. This voice note contains shocking information about the woman who was protecting Diddy all this time and helped him get away with his crimes. That woman is Christina Coram. Diddy had mentioned Christina a few times before his arrest in a Facebook post from 2021. He said, "Meet Christina Coram, Chief of Staff at Combs Enterprises. Ina KKK keeps everything in my life and my business running. She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get done. Don't know how I'd function without her." That time, no one knew what he was really doing, so this did not raise any alarm bells. Christina was named in several lawsuits against Diddy as his accomplice, but she stayed silent until recently. She released a statement saying, "4 months horrific accusations have been made about me in various lawsuits regarding my former boss. These false allegations of my involvement are causing irreparable and incalculable damage to my reputation and the emotional well-being of myself and my family. I have never condoned or aided and abetted the of anyone, nor have I ever dripped anyone the idea that I could be accused of playing a role in or even being a bystander to the essay of anyone is beyond setting disturbing and unthinkable. That is not who I am, and my heart goes out to all the victims of sexual assault. I am confident that the allegations against me will be proven to be untrue." No one believed her, and for a good reason. She has been mentioned in more lawsuits than I can talk about here, but I will explain some of them because there is a clear pattern. Without her, Diddy would have been caught a long time ago. She basically protected him and helped him commit his crimes without fear of getting caught. No wonder Diddy said in his Facebook post that he did not know how he would function without her. That shows how important she was to his operations. Christina was first exposed in Lil Rod's essay lawsuit against Diddy. Lil Rod described her as the Ghislaine Maxwell to Diddy. Lil Rod said that when Diddy started making unwanted advances at him, he told Christina because he thought she was trustworthy. But she said, and I quote, "You know Sean will be Sean." She tried to downplay the situation as friendly horseplay, saying it was just Diddy's way of showing affection. Lil Rod also said Christina managed Diddy's personal life, including paying hired sex workers for him and making employees carry fanny packs filled with drugs like GHB, Smize, and TUC. Another lawsuit came from Diddy's former senior executive Phil Pines, who accused Diddy of battery and emotional abuse. Christina was there covering up everything as usual. Phil said he once saw Diddy kick a woman outside his house and force her to get topless. Phil was traumatized, but Christina told him never to talk about it and warned about consequences if he did. Phil also said Christina helped organize what he called Wild King Nights, parties that lasted days with many men and women. Christina arranged the locations, participants, and supplies like baby oil, lube, male libido pills, Plan B, candles, and toys. Christina was mentioned again in a lawsuit filed last October by a woman from San Francisco. This was the lawsuit that made her release her denial statement. The woman said she met Diddy through FaceTime in 2018, and during the call she made a comment about Diddy being behind Tupac's death. Diddy overheard and angrily threatened her. A few days later, she was trapped in a house with Diddy, Christina, and others where she was abused. Diddy threatened her with a knife and forced other men to abuse her while he watched. Christina waited until they finished to clean up. She also gave the woman a pill and they continued the abuse. The woman escaped and got help from a neighbor who called the police.
She was able to escape eventually and ran out into the streets yelling and screaming, and a neighbor heard her because this happened in a quiet suburban neighborhood.
So there's a witness?
Yes, we have a witness because as she's running out the house yelling, a neighbor saw her and invited her into the home.
Okay.
And it's the neighbor who then called the police, and the police did come out at that time. They also stated that they heard cars screeching, and the neighbor went outside and saw a black SUV leaving the premises very quickly. And by the time the police arrived, of course, he was no longer there.
Well, was the neighbor able to identify who it was?
The neighbor wasn't, only that they saw the car leaving.
Okay.
They only described the truck. They could not tell who was inside, but she told the neighbor at the time who it was and why they were leaving so abruptly.
Even after the police report, the police did nothing because Diddy had likely paid them off. This was a common thing he did to many victims. It took a famous person like Cassie filing a lawsuit before Diddy was finally charged.
Mr. Combs seconded her with an inanimate object and then actually directed another gentleman to her while he watched and pleasured himself. So she was able to escape eventually and ran out into the streets yelling and screaming, and a neighbor heard her because this happened in a quiet suburban neighborhood, if you will.
So there's a witness?
Yes, we have a witness. We also have a police report, and that was made in 2018, that she, when she initially filed the police report, she didn't name Diddy out of fear of retaliation, and more importantly, fear that no one would believe her.
Right.
So she then updated that report, and we've been working with law enforcement to have them actually look into that report. Hearing her tell this story, her voice was trembling, she was in tears. I actually had to stop her at one point and tell her, take a second, because I can tell, even having her tell me this story, reliving it, was extremely painful. It was like it happened yesterday. I can tell she's very traumatized by what happened.
This year, another abuse lawsuit came out involving Christina. It was filed by a new artist called Seven Güzel. She said she was supposed to be mentored by Diddy, but he abused her instead. The lawsuit said, during the first instance of Combs forcibly compelled plaintiff to perform oral before her, this occurred without her consent and despite her explicit refusal to engage in any acts with him. While all this was happening, Ollie Carter kept exposing Diddy's behavior. Everything she said matches what others are accusing him of. But Ollie recently disappeared. It is now said that she was going to testify as a witness in Diddy's trial. A few days before she disappeared, Ollie went live crying and said she was scared for her life and her family's life. She said armed men broke into her house, made a mess, and she named some people she believed were behind the attack. According to her, these people leaked her address and paid goons to come after her.
You get pressured, attacked, stalked, and hunted down for your own information. You get abused and re-victimized again by people who wanted to argue a back and forth this week like that f***ing mattered. Okay, you had Stu Peters and Timothy Charles Homestead going back and forth, and nobody has even bothered. Not that I give a damn, and not that I understand that you guys are gonna be that selfish, but nobody has bothered to apologize for all the hell that has happened. But you guys were arguing back and forth, and in that meantime, we lost our home. You don't believe me? Here you go. What once was a full house, we were still paying rent on our house. What we were doing this whole time was moving everything because our house is gone. Our house is gone. This is the speaking out. What was our beautiful 3-bedroom acre home on 21225 Standing Rock Avenue, because everybody has the address, because organizations that were attached to Marx, Sawyer, and many other organizations decided to put out the address, my license plate to one of my cars, and many other of my. So here you go. You can have it. right? Because this is what happens when you speak out. This is what happens when you tell all the truth. This is what happens when you decided to stand up for the children, and when you understand that survivors don't just get to do a seminar, and when you understand that survivors don't just get to just be and then show up somewhere and talk and monetize everything that they're saying. When you realize that that's bullshit, then you will understand. Look at the tactics and pay attention. Pay attention. I'm still not asking you for a damn thing but to wake up. I'm not asking you for a damn thing but just to get outside. I don't give a damn about money, numbers on my platforms. You can have all of it. You took everything. The only thing that I give a shit about right now is the fact that there is a baby in the way. There's babies in the way. There are people that I love that I can't get out of the way. What am I supposed to do when the people in the authority that you're supposed to go to, you can't go to them?
As I said, one of the witnesses who was supposed to testify against Diddy has disappeared. People believe the missing witness is Ollie Carter. The missing witness is called Victim 3. Since Ollie disappeared at the same time Victim 3 went missing, people are connecting the dots and thinking it's the same person.
A key witness in the Diddy trial has gone missing. This is super concerning because she is crucial for the case against one of the biggest names in music. She was actually going under a pseudonym like 3 other witnesses in the case, but she decided to waive that right and reveal her identity in her testimony. But now she's MIA. The federal prosecutors don't know where she is, her lawyers don't know where she is, and the prosecutors are using her testimony in the opening statement on May 12th. That's not that far away. For now, she's known as Victim 3, and she was subpoenaed, which means that she is required to be there. This all comes as the trial is finally underway this week. The jury will be selected by the end of the day. That's not that interesting. They're all going to remain anonymous. What is interesting is the list of celebrities who were shown to potential jurors to see if they knew them. Those names included Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers, and Kanye West, none of whom are actually implicated.
To make things worse, prosecutors now have a voice note Ollie sent to her friend with more details about Christina's involvement in the crimes. This could lead to Christina being officially charged. She is already a defendant in some lawsuits, but this voice note could finally put her in serious trouble. People had different reactions. One person said, "Ollie Carter, no way, she must surely show up, I strongly believe that." Another said, "What do you mean she's gone missing? What the hell, I hope she's okay, alive and well." Now I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Ollie's voice note? Do you think Christina will finally be arrested? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.
But I was walking. There are many situations in trafficking where you can be alert. Some of my pimps did not let me see where I was going. Sometimes I was so that I was carried into a job, dressed, and then placed in a room and waiting for my order because I couldn't move myself. So at this time, I was able to walk. I was able to see what was going on. And I remember walking through. I remember talking to certain people after we got so far. I remember my ears popping. I remember feeling like I'm choking because the air was so weird. We got to a certain point and there was, it looked like a basement. It looked like where they keep things that were not public display in the museum. And after getting so far, we were in tunnels. We were put on cars, drove to a certain point, bar. I seen I seen cars, boats, there's trains, there's buses, there is every means of transportation under the ground.
Nobody believed her, but